Ladies and gentlemen, Steve Harvey here, and I want you to listen to this carefully because this one truth can save you years of confusion, heartbreak, and wasted emotional energy. Men do not fall in love emotionally until they feel respect first. I know that might sound strange to some people, especially because love is usually talked about like a feeling that just shows up out of nowhere. But for men, love doesn't start in the heart. It starts in the mind. And the doorway to a man's heart is respect. See, men are raised differently. From the time a boy becomes a man, he is taught that his value comes from what he can do, what he can provide, and how he shows up in the world. A man measures himself by usefulness, by competence, by whether he feels like he matters. So when a man looks at a woman before love even enters the conversation, he asks himself a question, sometimes without even realizing it. He asks, does she respect me? If the answer is no, love can't survive there. A man can be attracted to you without respecting you. He can desire you without respecting you. He can spend time with you, laugh with you, and even miss you without respecting you. But love, real love, the kind that leads to commitment, protection, and loyalty, does not exist without respect. That's why some men stay around but never fully step in. They enjoy the benefits, but their heart never opens because respect was never established. Now let me tell you something important. Respect is not fear. Respect is not silence. Respect is not agreeing with everything a man says. Real respect comes from how you carry yourself, how you speak to him, and how you value yourself. A man watches how you treat yourself long before he decides how serious he's going to be with you. If you don't respect your own boundaries, your own time, your own standards, it becomes hard for him to respect you too. Men notice things women don't always realize they notice. They notice how you speak to them in public. They notice if you correct them in front of others. They notice if you make them feel small when they open up. A man's ego is fragile, not because he's weak, but because he's wired to feel pride in his role. When respect is taken away, a man emotionally shuts down. He might still show up physically, but his heart pulls back. Here's where a lot of people get it wrong. Respect doesn't mean you lower yourself. It doesn't mean you tolerate disrespect or bad behavior. In fact, the opposite is true. When you demand respect through your standards, a man takes you more seriously. Men respect women who know who they are, what they want, and what they will not accept. Confidence is attractive, but self-respect is powerful. A man also feels respected when he feels trusted. When he feels like you believe in his ability to handle things, to lead in his own way, to figure life out without being constantly questioned or managed. Men don't want to feel like projects. They want to feel like partners. When a man feels like you see him as capable, his respect for you grows and his emotional connection deepens. Let me be clear. When a man feels disrespected, he doesn't usually argue about it. He withdraws. He becomes distant. He stops sharing. He stops trying. And many women mistake that silence for calm when really it's emotional separation. Love cannot grow in an environment where a man feels unappreciated or undermined. Respect also shows up in appreciation. Men respond deeply to appreciation because it tells them what you do matters. When a man feels appreciated, he feels respected. And when he feels respected, his heart opens naturally. He begins to care more. He begins to invest more. He begins to imagine a future. That's why you'll see men change completely for one woman and not another. It's not because one woman was prettier or smarter. It's because one woman made him feel respected in a way that spoke to his core. When that happens, love is no longer forced. It becomes inevitable. So understand this truth. Men don't fall in love first. They fall into respect first. And when that foundation is strong, love builds itself on top of it without being pushed, rushed, or demanded. Ladies and gentlemen, Steve Harvey here, and today I want to talk to you about something that most people misunderstand when it comes to men and love. Men don't fall in love when they feel chased, pressured, or overwhelmed by attention. Men fall in love when they feel needed, when they believe they have a meaningful place in your life. There is a big difference between being wanted and being needed. And if you don't understand that difference, you'll keep wondering why a man stays close but never commits. A man can want you and still walk away. One is easy. One is desire, attraction, comfort, and convenience. One can disappear the moment something feels difficult. But when a man feels needed, something deeper happens inside him. Needed doesn't mean you can't survive without him. It means his presence adds value, purpose, and meaning to your world. Men are wired to solve problems, to provide, to protect, and to contribute. When a man feels like he matters in your life, his emotional attachment begins to grow. Here's the mistake many women make. They give everything up front. They overextend, over-explain, and overcompensate. They try to show love by doing more, giving more, and asking for less. But when a man doesn't feel needed, he doesn't feel engaged. If you handle everything on your own while telling him you don't need anything, he may admire your strength, but he won't feel emotionally invested. Men connect through contribution. A man wants to feel like he can make a difference. He wants to feel like his effort changes something. When you allow him to show up, to help, to support, to provide in ways that feel natural to him, you activate his sense of purpose. That purpose is the bridge between liking someone and loving them. Without it, a man may enjoy your company, but never feel anchored to you emotionally. Let me make this clear. Being needed does not mean being dependent. Dependence creates pressure. Purpose creates connection. A man does not want to feel like he is your only source of happiness or stability. That's too heavy. But he does want to feel like his presence makes your life better, calmer, easier, or more secure in some way. When a man sees that his role matters, his heart starts to invest. Men also need to feel needed emotionally, not in the sense of constant reassurance, but in the sense that his voice matters. When you ask his opinion and genuinely consider it, when you value his perspective, when you allow him to lead in areas where he is strong, you make him feel relevant. Relevance is powerful to a man. It tells him he has a place. Many women think love grows from talking, texting, and emotional closeness alone. For men, love grows from action, from doing, from contributing, from being useful in ways that align with who he is. When a man feels like he is only there for emotional support, but never given the chance to step into his masculine role, he may pull back without fully understanding why. A man who feels needed begins to protect what he contributes to. He becomes more consistent. He shows up without being asked. He thinks about the future because now he sees himself in it. That sense of belonging changes how he behaves. He stops seeing the relationship as optional and starts seeing it as something he is responsible for. This is also why men often fall harder after they start doing more. The more effort a man puts in, the more emotionally attached he becomes. Effort creates investment, and investment creates love. If a man never gets the opportunity to invest, he never gets the chance to feel deeply connected. When a man feels needed, he doesn't feel controlled. He feels chosen. He feels trusted. He feels respected. And those feelings open the door to emotional commitment. That's when a man stops looking around. That's when he stops hesitating. That's when he decides to stay. So understand this truth. Men don't fall in love because you give them everything. They fall in love because they get to give something meaningful to you. Ladies and gentlemen, Steve Harvey here, and I need you to really hear this because this is where a lot of relationships either rise or quietly fall apart. Men fall in love after they see a woman's standards and her self-worth, not before. A man does not decide how serious he will be about you based on how much you love him, how patient you are, or how much you sacrifice. He decides based on how much you respect yourself when he is watching. A man is always paying attention. Even when you think he's not, he watches what you tolerate, what you excuse, and what you walk away from. He listens to how you talk about yourself, how you handle disappointment, and how you respond when something doesn't meet your expectations. And from all of that, he learns how valuable you believe you are. Once he sees that, he decides how much effort he's going to put in. Here's the truth people don't like to hear. If you don't have standards, a man won't magically create them for you. If you accept inconsistency, confusion, or disrespect in the name of love, a man doesn't see that as loyalty. He sees it as permission. And once a man believes he can give less and still keep you, his emotional investment stays low. Self-worth changes the entire dynamic. When a woman knows who she is, she doesn't beg, chase, or over-explain. She doesn't need to threaten to leave because her energy already says, I will not stay where I am not valued. That quiet confidence forces a man to decide. He either rises to meet her standards or he removes himself. And that decision point is where love begins for a man. Men fall in love with women who challenge them to be better, not by arguing or controlling, but by example. When a man sees that you have boundaries and you actually enforce them, something clicks in his mind. He realizes that access to you is earned, not guaranteed. That realization awakens respect, and respect is the seed of love. Let me tell you something important. Standards don't mean being difficult. Standards mean being clear. They mean you know what you want and you don't apologize for it. Men respect clarity. Confusion drains them. When you say what you expect and you're willing to walk away if it's not met, a man understands where he stands. And when a man knows where he stands, he can choose to step up. A woman with self-worth does not fear losing a man who is not aligned with her values. That fearlessness is attractive. It tells a man that you are not desperate for companionship. You are selective about partnership. Men may play games with women who accept anything, but they become intentional with women who require effort. Another thing men notice is how you respond to their behavior. If a man pulls back and you panic overcall or lower your standards to keep him, he learns that you will always adjust yourself for his comfort. But when a man pulls back and you stay calm, grounded, and consistent with your boundaries, he feels the shift. He realizes you are not easily replaceable, and that awareness changes how he shows up. Self-worth also shows in how you spend your time. A woman who has a full life, passions, goals, and self-respect does not pause her world waiting for a man to decide. Men are drawn to women who are complete, not because they need saving, but because they inspire growth. A man wants to add to a woman's life, not become the only thing in it. Men fall in love when they see that being with you requires intention, when they understand that half effort will not be enough, but real effort will be appreciated. That balance is powerful. It makes a man feel challenged but not rejected, welcome but not taken for granted. And here's the part that really matters. When a man sees your self-worth, he starts imagining a future differently. He doesn't think about what he can get away with. He thinks about what he needs to become. Love for a man begins when he believes that choosing you will make him better, stronger, and more responsible. So remember this, a man does not fall in love because you stay no matter what. He falls in love because you know when to stay and when to walk away. Your standards don't push the right man away. They pull him closer because they show him that loving you is something worth rising for. Ladies and gentlemen, Steve Harvey here, and let me tell you something that doesn't get talked about enough when it comes to men and love. Men fall in love when they feel emotionally safe. Not when they feel impressed, not when they feel chased, not even when they feel deeply attracted. Emotional safety is what allows a man to open his heart. And without it, love stays locked behind walls you didn't even know were there. You see, men are not taught how to express emotions the way women are. From a young age, men are taught to be strong, to handle things, to keep moving, to not complain, and definitely to not show vulnerability. So when a man finally considers letting someone close enough to see his fears, doubts, and insecurities, that decision is not small. It's risky, and he will only take that risk where he feels safe. Emotional safety means a man feels he can speak without being attacked. It means he can share a concern without it turning into an argument. It means he can admit confusion without being judged or made to feel weak. When a man senses that opening up will be used against him later, he shuts down. He may still smile, still joke, still show up physically, but emotionally, he pulls back to protect himself. Many women don't realize how powerful their reactions are. A man is watching closely how you respond when he disagrees with you, when he makes a mistake, or when he expresses something uncomfortable. If every emotional moment turns into criticism, comparison, or dismissal, his heart learns that silence is safer than honesty, and silence is where love slowly fades. Emotional safety is created through understanding, not fixing. Men don't always want solutions when they open up. Sometimes they just want to be heard. When a man feels like his feelings are allowed to exist without being corrected, minimized, or rushed, he relaxes. That relaxation is where attachment grows. A relaxed man stays, a tense man escapes. Another part of emotional safety is consistency. Men struggle with emotional unpredictability. If affection comes and goes based on mood, if love feels conditional, or if communication feels like walking on eggshells, a man becomes guarded. He starts protecting his peace instead of investing his heart. Men fall in love where they feel steady ground beneath their feet. Let me say this clearly. Emotional safety does not mean accepting bad behavior or disrespect. It does not mean silence in the face of wrongdoing. It means addressing issues without tearing down a man's identity. There is a way to communicate disappointment without attacking character. Men respond better to calm clarity than emotional chaos. A man also feels emotionally safe when he knows he can fail without being shamed. Men carry a lot of pressure to succeed, to provide, to be strong. When a woman shows patience during a man's low moments instead of judgment, it creates a bond that runs deep. A man never forgets the woman who believed in him when he doubted himself. Trust is another pillar of emotional safety. When a man feels constantly suspected, monitored, or accused, he feels controlled, not loved. Trust tells a man that you see him as capable of integrity. That belief encourages him to live up to it. Men rise when they feel trusted. They retreat when they feel policed. Men also need emotional safety to be themselves. Not the role, not the provider, not the strong one all the time, but themselves. When a man feels he has to perform to be accepted, love feels like work. When he feels accepted as he is, love feels like home. And men protect what feels like home. Here's something important. Emotional safety creates emotional depth. When a man feels safe, he shares more. When he shares more, he connects more. When he connects more, love grows naturally. That's why some men seem emotionally unavailable with one woman and deeply expressive with another. The difference is not the man, it's the environment. A woman who creates emotional safety does not rush intimacy. She allows space for trust to build. She listens more than she reacts. She chooses understanding over winning arguments. That kind of presence tells a man, you are safe here. And when a man feels safe, he commits not out of obligation, but out of desire. Men fall in love where their hearts are protected, not tested. Where their emotions are welcome, not weaponized. Emotional safety is not loud, it's calm, it's steady, it's patient. And it is one of the strongest foundations a woman can offer a man if she wants real, lasting love. Ladies and gentlemen, Steve Harvey here, and I want to talk to you about something that explains why men stay, why they commit, and why they fall deeply in love. Men love when they believe they can win with you. Not win against you, not dominate you, not compete with you, but win in life by having you beside them. A man falls in love when he sees a future where your presence makes him stronger, more confident, and more successful in his own way. Men are goal-oriented by nature. From the time they are young, they are taught to chase something, build something, and become something. So when a man looks at a woman, consciously or unconsciously, he asks himself whether being with her will help him move forward or hold him back. This doesn't mean a woman has to sacrifice her independence or dreams. It means a man wants to feel like the relationship is a partnership where both people are moving in the same direction. A man falls in love when he feels encouraged, not competed with. When he feels like you are on his side, not measuring yourself against him. Men struggle in relationships where everything feels like a scoreboard. Who earns more? Who does more? Who sacrifices more? That constant comparison drains a man. But when he feels like your success is shared and his success is celebrated, his heart relaxes and his commitment grows. Winning for a man is not about perfection. It's about progress. A man wants to feel like he is becoming a better version of himself with you. When a woman believes in a man's potential, even when he's still figuring things out, it creates a powerful emotional bond. Men remember the women who saw them before the world did. That belief becomes fuel. Many men pull away when they feel constantly criticized. Criticism makes a man feel like he's failing, and no man wants to stay where he feels like a failure. But when feedback is given with respect and encouragement, a man hears it differently. He hears support, not rejection. He feels like you want him to grow, not that you are disappointed in who he is. A man also falls in love when he feels peace in your presence. Peace is winning. Coming home to someone who brings calm, understanding, and reassurance makes a man feel like he can handle the outside world better. Life is already hard. A relationship should not feel like another battlefield. When a man associates you with peace, he associates you with victory. Support plays a huge role in this. Men want to feel supported emotionally, mentally, and sometimes practically. Support doesn't mean fixing his problems. It means standing beside him while he faces them. When a man knows you won't abandon him when things get tough, he feels stronger. That strength deepens love. Men also need room to lead in their own way. Leadership doesn't mean control. It means responsibility. When a man feels trusted to make decisions and contribute direction, he feels respected. That respect reinforces his belief that he can win in the relationship. Men shut down when they feel micromanaged. They step up when they feel trusted. Another thing men associate with winning is appreciation. When a man's efforts are noticed and acknowledged, he feels motivated to do more. Appreciation tells him that his contribution matters. And when his contribution matters, the relationship matters. A man does not fall in love when he feels like he's constantly being tested. He falls in love when he feels like he's building something meaningful. When the relationship feels like a place where he can grow, improve, and succeed alongside someone who believes in him, love becomes deeper and more secure. Men fall in love when they see that choosing you doesn't limit them, but strengthens them. When your presence adds clarity instead of confusion, confidence instead of doubt, peace instead of pressure. That's when a man knows he's winning. When a man believes that loving you brings out his best self, he doesn't hesitate. He commits, he protects, he invests. Because in his heart, he's already won. Ladies and gentlemen, Steve Harvey here, and let me tell you something that clears up more confusion about men and love than almost anything else. Men fall in love when they feel peace, not pressure. I know that might surprise some of you because a lot of people think love grows from intensity, constant communication, and emotional urgency. But for men, peace is the environment where love can breathe. Pressure suffocates it. A man's life already comes with pressure. Pressure to succeed, to provide, to be strong, to figure things out, and to not fail. By the time a man enters a relationship, he is already carrying expectations from the world. So when love starts to feel like another demand, another test, another situation where he can come up short, his instinct is to pull back. Not because he doesn't care, but because he's trying to protect his sense of calm. Peace doesn't mean boredom. Peace means emotional steadiness. It means a man knows where he stands with you. He's not guessing. He's not walking on eggshells. He's not afraid that one wrong word will turn into a long argument or emotional shutdown. When a man feels emotionally safe and calm around you, his guard lowers. And when his guard lowers, his heart opens. Pressure often shows up as rushing. Rushing commitment, rushing labels, rushing answers, rushing emotional depth before trust has had time to grow. When a man feels rushed, he feels cornered. And a cornered man doesn't choose love freely. He chooses escape. Love has to feel like a decision, not an obligation. Men also experience pressure when they feel constantly evaluated. When every action is analyzed, every delay questioned, every mood interpreted as a problem, that kind of attention doesn't feel like care to a man. It feels like surveillance. And no one relaxes under surveillance. Peace allows a man to be himself without fear of constant judgment. Another form of pressure is emotional unpredictability. If affection is given one moment and withdrawn the next, if moods swing without communication, a man becomes cautious. He starts conserving energy. He limits emotional investment because he doesn't know what version of you he'll meet. Men fall in love in consistency, in knowing that love doesn't disappear because of a bad day. Peace also comes from acceptance. A man needs to feel that he doesn't have to perform constantly to earn love. When love feels conditional, it becomes stressful. But when a man feels accepted while still encouraged to grow, love becomes grounding. Men don't resist growth. They resist constant dissatisfaction. Let me tell you something important. Peace is not silence in the face of problems. Peace is how problems are handled. Calm conversations, clear expectations, respectful disagreement. Men respond to logic and tone more than emotion alone. When issues are addressed without accusation or blame, a man stays engaged. When issues are explosive, he retreats. Men fall in love when home feels like rest. When your presence feels like relief, not responsibility. When coming to you recharges him instead of draining him. A man will always return to the place where his spirit feels light. Peace becomes addictive. Pressure can also come from comparison. Comparing him to other men. Comparing the relationship to others. comparing timelines. That comparison tells a man he is failing. And when a man feels like he's failing, love starts to feel unsafe. Men want to feel chosen for who they are, not measured against someone else's story. A peaceful woman trusts herself. She trusts the process. She doesn't force outcomes. That confidence reassures a man. It tells him he doesn't have to rush to prove himself. Ironically, that freedom often makes a man step up faster because now his actions come from desire, not fear. Peace also means emotional maturity, knowing when to speak and when to pause, knowing that not every feeling needs immediate reaction. Men respect emotional control because it signals stability, and stability is something men value deeply when choosing a long-term partner. When a man feels peace, he becomes more present, he listens more, he shares more, he plans more. Love grows quietly but powerfully in that space. That's why men often commit when they feel calm and sure, not when they feel overwhelmed. So understand this truth. If you want a man to fall in love, create peace, not pressure. Be clarity, not chaos. Be steadiness, not stress. Because when a man finds peace with you, he stops looking elsewhere. He settles emotionally. He commits willingly. And he loves deeply because love finally feels like home.